Welcome to Pirate Life Radio. This is Tait, and today I had the pleasure to speak with Ruben Rivera, and Ruben's my first and only black belt in the 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu system, and he's a savage on the mats. Savage competitor, and the kind of guy that he all around makes you better with the more you're around him. He's also a stuntman, actor, and he's a producer and a director of film. Fantastically talented everywhere. And we had a great talk, and it kind of merged into a lot of different topics, but a lot of it about health and about pushing through and about some of his own maladies that had come up, and you know, at the point that certain people stop and certain people don't, and where you allow life to either mute you or how whatever the maladies are create a deeper expression and a bigger kind of output than you would have normally done if you'd have been well. And it's a really interesting kind of topic, but it was great to have him. We're just starting to get these video casts worked out, and so hope you enjoy it. A lot of Caveman Coffee. Got drunk before this. This was an evening one. We're normally in the daytime, but man, I hope you enjoy it. Hope you follow it, and we'll talk another time. Enjoy.
A big Tait Fletcher.
Powerful Tait Fletcher.
Is a real alpha male.
Weightlifter.
He's a stuntman.
Movie star.
Robust, enthusiastic individual.
He's huge, by the way. He's like a monster person.
One of the sweetest guys I know.
He's bigger than life.
Actor.
Entrepreneur.
A fighter.
The jiu-jitsu technician.
He's also bald and he has all these tattoos. He's just a big fucking man.
A man, a myth, a legend.
Tait Fletcher.
Tait Fletcher.
Tait Fletcher.
What's up, Tait Fletcher, you bad motherfucker?
Tait Fletcher. Tait Fletcher is
Tait Fletcher.
Teddy bear motherfucking Fletcher, ladies and gentlemen.
That's Tait Fletcher, everybody.
The great Tait Fletcher. Tait the animal Fletcher. Tait the savage Fletcher. Always moving. There's no stillness with Tait Fletcher. You will find no dust.
Tait Fletcher's in the house, ladies and gentlemen. He just said the word erection.
Tait Fletcher.
Tait Fletcher's in the fucking house. Tait Fletcher!
Tait really blasts out some serious hardcore truth bombs, and I think you're really going to enjoy it.
Welcome, Pirate Life Podcast. Can't believe that I'm really learning how to do these on a goddamn video. This is amazing to me because I can barely send an email, as you know, and yeah, here we are. And this is Hank, of course. Here with Ruben de Rivera, and super excited, man. And tell me how it feels to be a black belt now that you're a new black belt and all that, and what goes on.
It's cool, man. It's really cool. I mean, nothing changes, obviously. Like, you know, like it's not like you get superpowers or anything from having the black belt. But I think
you wish, though.
You
wish. Seems like you ought to.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the mystery that everybody else has out there too.
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, you get probably superpowers. You're a black belt.
But it's a cool, it's like a great achievement, you know. Like, I tried a lot of things as a kid. Like, I'd try basketball or soccer, and then, you know, I'd get kind of good, but I never was like 100, like proficient, you know. And not that I feel that way about jiu-jitsu, but it's just cool to reach that level to say, like, I'm a black belt now, you know. I finished something, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, whereas before I never used to finish things.
Right.
I just try it.
And where do you go? It's kind of like, I always thought like with, it's weird. It's like, and then when you're a little kid, maybe a black belt. Which is the best black belt? Kung Fu, this, that, whatever. But it's weird with the internet and everything and like the connectivity. It's like, oh, anybody that's a smart person could go, oh, okay, this is really the best for this, and this is what actually works, and this is what people that do this for their life are doing, and I don't know, it's fucking dope. It's been quite a journey. I think that jiu-jitsu has been, you know, one of the things that is probably, I would point to, I don't know if people think that about their college careers. I wonder if they think that if they're like, you know, going to Harvard and getting a doctorate or MBA, that was the thing that, but for me, man, that was my doctorate. That was the thing that was like, and it gave me lessons that I don't think you could have gotten in school, because it's really your own pace, and then it's your own drive and desire. There is no end result. There's like the next tournament ahead of you or the next whatever, you know? Mm-hmm. There's these mini goals.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. It's never ending. Like, even right now, it's like, I can't say, like, I'm not going to compete anymore. Like, that would be silly, you know, because I'm a white black belt now, or a white belt black belt. You know, it's like there's black belts that are just kicking other black belts to asses or whatever.
It's crazy,
like,
huh?
Yeah.
I watched. I saw a picture of Ricardo Laborio, and he's in this dirty, neat belly, neat chest, kind of on this guy, and it's like that is an older dude, and he is a savage still today. Like Mario Sperry, go ahead and try. Like those guys are still, like Rashad said, Mario was like one of the baddest dudes he ever rolled with. And Mario Sperry's got to be 55 years old or more, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I remember meeting him on a beach in Rio. We were down there after. I guess it was the year after I won the Hicks of Gracie International, and I don't know, I had like 15 matches in my weight and then in the open, and I finished everybody in both, and it was rad, man. It was awesome, and that was the first like white belt. Everything else was blue belts and up. Pan Ams and the Worlds and all that, you had to be a blue belt or better to compete. So even to compete back in the day, you had to be like pretty good.
Yeah.
And so then we went down, and it's like me and Isaac Valley Flag and this weird, creepy child toucher kid that has a school up here now, and then and Fletcher Sievers and Alberto Crane, I guess, was leading the pack back then, and we all go into we first went to the surf shop, kind of GNC, like on the beach in Rio, and somebody's like, "Oh, there's a picture of you back here, Tait." And I was like, I thought it was like Isaac and Fletcher talking shit to me. I was like, for sure it's going to be like some gorilla or something or something. And I go back there, and it's me, and it's this dude, and I got my arm around him, and it's from the Hicks and Gracie tournament, and it's this kid that I finished in the finals of the open class, and he was like a 155 or 170. He was small.
Yeah.
And we got a picture taken together after that, and that's his shop that we just happened to get in. It's like, and I go, God, this jiu-jitsu's brought my world so small together. So cool. And then we go 10 minutes later, we're walking on the beach. We go by the world famous Gracie Baja, the original joint, and then we go a little further, and here's this dude. And I'm like, it's motherfucking Mario Sperry, and a legend, you know. And then in fights and everything, and him and Murillo Bustamante were like the leaders of that whole movement in that day, and I was like, this is crazy, man. What a little world. And that was just the beginning. That was the brand new beginning into jiu-jitsu.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, I mean, because jiu-jitsu's so young anyways, you know.
So like, young.
Yeah. And you got to experience, you know, that, I guess you could say, like, that generation, you know.
Well, and I would say also, like, that, to say that is a trip, because that was only in Brazil. For years. And then really Rorion Gracie brought it to the United States with the UFC. He was the first one that pimped the UFC and was like, let's do this thing. And they got their weakest link out of their whole family, which was Royce, because they're like, we don't want the strongest guy. They would have had Hickson, you know. And it's crazy. It's a crazy thing. And like, to be a part of it, like, and then in Brazil, and just when it was tipping its toe into America, it was wild.
It's crazy for me to also think like that I landed in the right place, like in Santa Fe, this little town in the middle of New Mexico, and that I met you, you know, that I just happened to walk into the right gym, because I didn't know shit about jiu-jitsu. I didn't know anything. Like, I didn't come in like knowing who Tait Fletcher was, that he had been on The Ultimate Fighter, or like all these other things that a lot of, like, Wheezy was like a super fan, our other instructor, Luis Castillo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, he knew all about you before he even walked in the door.
That's funny.
Whereas I didn't know anything, you know. And Ivan Miranda, which is a great friend of mine that I grew up with.
A great boxer.
Yeah, he used to be our boxing coach, and just like a really cool dude, and kind of like a hipster. Like, he always knew about all the cool shit long before anybody else did. And he showed me a Vale Tudo tournament, and Hickson, you know, won the whole thing, and he was
Choke, like, probably the video Choke.
Yeah,
he went to Japan.
Yep,
the one guy's eyes swelled shut, dirty.
The little Asian guy with
and he's in the river. Him and
that's the one, Choke.
Hoyler,
and so he had like bought it off of eBay or something, like on a VHS, and he wanted to show it to me, because he used to buy like boxing fights and all this, and he was like, dude, you got to see this like underground tournament in Japan, and he showed me the Hickson thing, and he was like, that's jiu-jitsu. And I was like, jiu-jitsu? Never even heard of that, you know, like, because I'm Mexican, so boxing is our thing. And that was boxing was like my first taste of combat. And then he ended up doing a trial.
Boxing
with him. He was my first teacher, in the backyard. He had gloves, and then we would go to the Genevieve Chavez Center here in Santa Fe, and then he would teach me how to jab and right cross and hooks and uppercuts. And I mean, you've seen him teach. I mean, he loves to teach, man. Like,
he's passionate.
He always did it for free. He taught us. I was just like a 14-year-old kid, and he was like 22 or something, and he just loved to watch fights and be like, yeah, this is Oscar De La Hoya's left hook, and this is how he does it. You know, he'll step here and
rewind it. Okay, right there. See that? See what he did with his foot, and now watch his hips.
Yeah,
like
man.
he's badass.
And so he actually did a trial run over at Santa Fe BJJ. He did like a 3-day thing, and he learned like an arm bar and a scissor sweep, in the gi. And so then one day he was like, dude, there's this thing I got to show you. And we were boxing, and he's like, I want to show you these things I learned. So he taught me how to do an armbar from guard, and then he taught me how to do the scissor sweep from guard. But, you know, it was without the gi. He kind of was like, well, because we don't have gis, I guess you would just grab the arm and you'd grab the neck instead of the collar or whatever. And then we did it and we practiced it. And I was like, man, this is cool. Like, I'd never experienced anything like that. So then I would go back, and on the trampoline with my cousins, I'd be trying to armbar all of them, right? I'd be trying to get to guard and armbar them. And I pulled it off a couple times. And I felt like I got a taste of the power of jiu-jitsu. You know, I tapped my cousins who were 30, 40 pounds heavier than me.
Because it's different too in boxing. In boxing, you got to knock somebody out.
Yep.
I mean, you got to really hurt somebody, and it's like you're not going to do that to your friends or whatever. And so that becomes a whole different kind of deal. And you're like, whoa, here's this thing where I can like do a simulated kill. You know, for lack of a better term, and it actually fit. And that was the thing that turned me on about jiu-jitsu, is because I was like, wow, you can finish. You finish this. This isn't like, oh well, this would have happened. It's not more trash talk in the street. Like, oh, I would have. It's like, no. You're asleep.
Right.
This is over.
For sure.
And that was the beautiful part about it for me, is because most guys in the street, they're like, hey, just go until they're both tired, which is 30 seconds later. And they go, oh, let's just go get another beer or something. You know, like generally that's how a fight in the street goes.
It's true. You do have to knock them out. And I think once you start boxing or kickboxing, you realize how difficult it is to knock somebody out. You know, and yeah, jiu-jitsu made it so much easier to finish the fight, you know, to make my cousins tap.
I know like 3 guys where they go, I'm going to knock that guy out. And I go, that dude's about to be unconscious. But like, and I know hundreds of thousands of people. Like, I know like 3 guys that can do that. Like that I'm like, okay, this is probably going to happen. But like, if you don't know how to, like, you don't just pull a trigger and a guy goes to sleep. It's hard to do that, to like, and then also there's the damage and the concussion. The whole body control thing. I don't know. I was telling Nate, and Nate was like, and he wrote it down. He writes down all these little funny quotes. But I was like, I got into jiu-jitsu not for me, but to make you safer. Because the only way I knew how to do it is to club you or whatever. Like, I knew the crudest kind of combat. And like jiu-jitsu, like especially when I started doing security jobs and stuff, I'm like, oh, if I tangle with somebody, I got to keep them safe. And like, what does that look like? And it looked like jiu-jitsu, body control, body awareness.
It's so cool, man. Now with the internet and cameras all over the place, like these videos are popping up of these girls reverse triangling dudes and not even hurting them, or there's this other video where this homeless guy is giving this couple shit or something like that, and the guy just arm drags him, takes his back, puts his hooks in, puts him on the ground, and then he's just like, are you gonna stop? Are you gonna stop? Doesn't even ever touch him, slap him, hit him.
You gonna be cool, dude? Come on, just be cool.
Yeah, he starts crying, and
that's
he
the
lets
nice thing
him go,
about
and it's
jiu-jitsu
like,
guys,
that's crazy.
All they do is like, dude, just be cool. I just want to go through life and be cool. It's like, not that you're out fucking people up, but you just want to be cool.
So yeah, I totally get what you're saying as far as like, as a bouncer.
The
last thing you want to do is knock some dude in the head or knock him over, he hits his head on the concrete, and then now you got to live with that, you know, or the consequences.
Or the bar gets closed down and everybody loses their job because of me or whatever. And then especially when I started working private security, and I'm like, then you're working for clients that can get sued or whatever. I'm like, no, that can't happen. So yeah, it's been dope. And I think the ride that it is, like the way that it forms your mind and mellows you, especially as a guy, where you have all the hormones and the juices in your body that are and it's like, you need to temper that. You need to chill that out.
Well, it's so weird. Before jiu-jitsu, I was in several fights at a bar. Like, it was just like a more common thing. Whereas now, I can say that I haven't been in a fight on the streets in like 5 years, 7 years. Like, it never happens because my mindset is just so different You know, I just, for some reason, I just don't come across those situations anymore. Like, it's so weird how you just put yourself in those situations.
And do you think also because you don't drink as much as you did, or because you're like, is it, how much is that is attributed to that or the athlete lifestyle?
Well, I think it's both. I think it's the athlete lifestyle, and then I think I just not even being at the bars anymore, because that's really where it happens. You know, it's like some drunk dude would say something to my girlfriend or something, or you know, something, and then he'd be like, "What are you gonna do about it, bro?" or whatever.
Or in New Mexico, man, you just barely bump into some people are looking to scrap.
Yeah,
you know, that's the thing here. I found out when I moved here.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You know, I've told you this before, but like the few times that I have been to a bar recently, you know, because whatever, it's like a holiday or something, we go, and dudes just look at you. You know, I've had dudes just I'm walking into the place and some dude's walking out and he's just like looking at me, you know, and he's like squaring up.
And he looks behind as he walks by to see if you're gonna look back.
And so this last time I remember I looked at him.
What the fuck do you want, bro?
And I said, "What's up, dude? Are you okay?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm okay. Are you?" And I'm just like, "Yeah." And then we just kept walking by each other. You know what I mean? But it was like, weird. It was so different, you know, whereas before maybe I would have been like, "What's up, bro? What are you looking at? You know, fuck you," or whatever. And now it's just like, "Hey, man, are you okay? Can I help you? Like, what's wrong with you?
You look fucked up, bro. Right? You need a hand? Are you all right?
You look angry. Or
no, I'm good. Why are you?
Yeah.
No, I'm excellent, bro. I'm just like sometimes.
And then some of those dudes just aren't used to that, right?
Right.
Like if it's some big bully or whatever, like he's never been.
Well, people walk around scared.
Yeah, exactly.
And so if everybody walks around with confidence, people, it's safer.
Yeah.
You know, I think Sonny Barger, he's the guy that started the Hells Angels, and he had that big, he had a line when they asked him about gun control. And he goes, "I just think an armed society is a polite society." And you can say, you know, like he's like, if everybody is strapped or nobody knows whether you are or not, nobody goes around stuffing on your shoes or hitting on your lady or bumping into you. People are careful. They're more polite. And it's kind of, I mean, you know, I don't know that everybody needs to carry a gun everywhere, but like the thing is that like to walk, if everybody had that confidence that being a master of your physicality offered,
right,
then people would be cooler. It's weird. I was thinking that I got a gun pulled on me when I was driving down to Albuquerque, I don't know, 6 months ago or something like that. Not really pulled on me. The guy's pointing a gun at his window, so he's going to have to shoot out his passenger window in order to shoot at me.
Right.
And I was like, you're not going to do that. It's a brand new Tahoe that he's driving. It's like not a like anyway. But I was thinking that I was like, oh yeah, there is that time. But I was like, I don't really feel like I need to carry a gun everywhere I go.
Right.
But then I think in New Mexico maybe you do, but but it's because I don't ever think like I might go out and have to shoot my fellow man. Like it's such an aberrant idea to me. That's so much further outside of my thought construct than anything else. Like I'm going to get into some altercation just happening through my life. Because like you said, I don't go places like I'm not in a dope house. I'm not robbing anybody. I'm not in any of the places where maybe some trouble like that might occur.
Totally.
I don't know. It's a trip, man. It's a trip. All these gun control. And I say all that. I still think guns should be everywhere and people should have them and all that. I'm completely pro-gun.
It's a difficult thing to say who shouldn't have guns or whatever.
It's like our bullshit as a national government. We're like, no, we don't want Iran to have nukes, but we've got all the nukes. Yeah. And it's kind of like saying, well, because we're responsible, but these other humans aren't responsible. It's like, I don't know, man. That becomes such a... It's like either everybody has to have the same power and go, yeah, we all have the same power and let's all be cool. Or, I mean, it seems like there's no other way. Or else you have dominion over somebody, like, and you're smashing them. And I don't think that's the right way to live. I don't want to be lording, like, power over somebody else.
I mean, I remember you talking about that, about jiu-jitsu being a secret thing for a while. Like, there was techniques where you're like, I don't want you guys to go out and this is our shit or whatever. And it's like, that was what they were trying to do, right? So it was like, they wanted to, like, lord over certain techniques or philosophies or whatever, and I never experienced that because it was never that way with us. It was just But it's crazy for me to think that that was once a thing, you know, where these schools were trying to keep secrets.
Well, I built that other school, and then Tom got all weird when I came back and tried to like bring things together. And it's like there is that thing, this whole secular kind of thing. And they're not all like that, but weird dudes in jiu-jitsu. I feel like it's like kung fu guys. It's like there's a lot of douchey dudes that ended up getting black belts in jiu-jitsu, unfortunately, but they just wanted to lord shit over somebody. They just wanted to be a kung fu magic guy over people, and that's all they really cared about. You know, I want to be a martial arts instructor. It was really like they were the worst of what's that show? Napoleon Dynamite. You know what I mean? It's like they're that dude in a way. You know?
Yeah, it's like that saying. I don't know who said it, but like those people who want power are the ones that shouldn't have it.
Right.
You know, the people who seek it.
Yeah.
You know, and
that's why everybody was stoked about George Washington. He's like, they're like, you could be king. We want you to be the king. And he's like, we just left that. And when I'm not being king, like he was really reticent to take even presidency.
That's fucking crazy, man.
We don't have that nowadays. Now we have professional politicians.
You know, I even felt that way like when you left and you were like, you're going to be, or, you know, after you told me to be the head instructor, I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like I never wanted to have that power or whatever. And even to this day, like now I'm a black belt, but I'm still not trying to be like everyone should bow to me or whatever, or call me professor or sensei or whatever it is, you know, like I never want that. You know, it's a weird thing.
It's a weird deal.
Yeah.
And there's guys that
you see the guys, I mean, you see guys that are just like they want it so bad, and it's just I
saw a post recently, a jiu-jitsu post about there's a guy that really highly acclaimed fucking grappler or whatever, and makes a post excusing his he lost to a guy, and so he makes a post kind of excusing it and being like, well, I was only training for the Pan Ams and all that kind of jazz, and so I was only training in a gi and not no gi, and it was a no gi thing. And it's like, it's weird that the ego is still so fucked up. I mean, that's why jiu-jitsu is important to keep doing, because it's still so fucked up even at that thing that you're making excuses about a performance when it's like you got a chance. You know, I stopped having opinions about fights after a while just because I was like, you've got an opportunity to do the thing that you love to do, and you're able to do it on higher and higher stages. That's fucking awesome.
Right.
That's great.
Right. It's so weird that people are still trying to have this separation as far as jiu-jitsu goes, like gi versus no gi. When to me, I don't know, it's all just jiu-jitsu. It's all and we could even take it a step further and say it's all movement, right? We've been talking a lot about right? It's just movement, right? And like humans, I think we yearn to move. You know, I think there's a reason that there's this feel-good chemical that gets released into our brain after we work out or after we do jiu-jitsu or after, like, it's our body telling us, like, do more of this. It's like a survival mechanism almost, and that comes with any movement. Yeah. And that's how I started looking at it. I'm just like, I tell people, like, you don't have to do jiu-jitsu. You don't have to do the things that I do, but you should move. Find something that you love and do that, you know? And so when I see these things, these debates, or people create these things on the internet, like, well, Atos did this good at the no-gi worlds, and 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu didn't do very well or whatever, and they make these comparisons, and I'm like, man, this is some silly shit, you know, that separation.
Well, you know what it is like, it's the same, I mean, tell me the difference between that and religious extremists, right?
Yeah,
it's like, it's a real similar thing.
Yeah.
In that our way is the right way. Oh, you guys are all looking for God, and you're all looking for peace and serenity and kindness and comfort for you and yours. But you're not doing it my way?
Yeah.
We've got a problem, Houston. It's like it becomes ridiculous. And I think it's just that. So I'm like, I've always been like, whatever you have fun doing, do that thing.
Do that.
Whatever it is that sets you free.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And especially because movement is so valuable, and when you can't move anymore, that becomes a huge problem. I know that when I've been injured, that's the most miserable time I'm ever around, is like going, oh my God, am I ever going to be able to move again? Can I work up a sweat again? How am I going to get free?
Yeah.
Because that becomes a thing. How are you going to get free?
That's so true.
And everybody has injuries. There's everybody that has that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm constantly having conversations like those with my students now, where they'll sprain their wrist or you know, they'll sprain an ankle or something, and then they feel like the world's coming down or whatever, and they're like, I might not ever be able to do jiu-jitsu again. And it's like, wait a second, like, come on, you know, you can do it if you want to. Yep. Only if you want to, though.
But you know what's cool about that is that it's a valuable thing to them, where they're like, well, this is a thing I value, and I might not like just that's in their mind. Like,
that's true.
God, I might not be able to do this again.
Yeah, but I mean, we know.
Sure.
From our own injuries,
you see people with fucking huge injuries,
or from just from being on the mats long enough or whatever, you see what happens, and we can come back, but only if you really want to, you know. Because I took 8 months off once for my groin, and I came back and I tried to do it and still hurt, and I was like, well, maybe my groin is never gonna heal, and I'll never do jiu-jitsu again, and that was a scary thought, you know. But I came back and I'm here. And that was when I was a blue belt, and now I'm a black belt. So
isn't that crazy?
You guys can come back if you want to.
What about like that's not the only thing that you had. Like that's a horrible injury that happens with movement. But like, well, fucking then your foot.
Yeah, dude. I guess
that was gnarly.
Yeah. So my first experience of foot pain.
I wish we had live video of you pulling that pin out of your toe that we could show people.
I do have that video. We could edit it in.
Sick, dude.
Yeah, I broke my toes last year in September riding a dirt bike.
So when I see Ruben again, he's got his foot in a fucking cast, like I don't know, like one of those plastic foamy cast deals, like a walking boot, I guess it is. And then, fuck, man, there's a fucking steel pin that's like, it's like a yarn needle, or like maybe not that big, but it's a pretty sizable, like it's probably, I'd have to say it's like a 12 or 8, maybe an 8 gauge, 12 gauge, 8 gauge needle that is sticking out the end of one of his toes. And that's what's fucking hooking all the metatarsals back together so that they'll fuse together correctly. So he's got, it's like a skewer, and it goes deep into your fucking foot. And and then the video that I want to put out is that it's him getting it pulled out by the doctor fucking pulling. Oh, it's creepy to look at.
The doctor was weird too. So he had a pen in his hand. I don't know. He's a doctor. He's probably writing prescriptions or whatever. He didn't even take the pen out of his hand. He had the pen, or maybe it was like a grip. Maybe he used it as like a T grip, or he created like a T grip, right? Like the pen, and then to grab onto the head of the needle or the whatever they call it, and he was just going like this and trying to get it out, twisting it, and it was weird.
Oh, and that's not only, then you're flat-footed.
Yeah,
and so in pain all the time with that.
Yeah. Well, that's how it kind of started. When I was a kid, my parents right away noticed that I was flat-footed, and they were like, "Well, it might cause you problems later."
I'd never seen feet like that.
Yeah, it's pretty awful. And then when I started boxing a lot, it started to really hurt. And that was kind of my first experience. And so then I went to the doc, and he was just like, "Oh, you have flat feet, so just get some foot inserts." I was 15. Get some inserts for your shoes and orthotics, custom orthotics, and you should be good or whatever. So then I get some custom orthotics, and they help. It's helping. And then one day before school, I was in high school. My toe swelled up like crazy. My big toe on my left foot. And I couldn't walk. Like, I couldn't put weight on it. And my parents didn't believe me. They're like, "Really? Is it that bad?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's really bad." So my mom freaked out and ended up taking me to the ER because she was just like, she couldn't believe the amount of pain I was in trying to walk. So then the doctor.
But your foot's visibly swollen.
Yeah, my toe, it's huge. And the docs are like, "Okay, well, let's run some blood tests or whatever." And then they're asking me like, "Are you sexually active?" Because they thought I had like chlamydia or something.
Did you foot a girl?
Yeah, because I guess like sometimes, I don't know. That was the first thing that they weeded out or whatever.
There's some creepy ass doctors. They're just like, "Hey, here's the most handsome guy I've ever seen. Let's find out who he's nailing."
There was that. And so I ended up being in the hospital 3 days. They were just running a ton of blood tests, and they thought it was gout, and then it was like it wasn't gout, and then they were like, "Okay, we don't know what it is, so you can leave the hospital and you're gonna go see a rheumatologist." And for those of you who don't know, like, rheumatologists are the ones that diagnose the undiagnosable. That's what they say. Rheumatologists are like,
is that a
that's our motto.
School?
That's our motto, is we diagnose the undiagnosable. Like, how crazy is that, right? And
I'd have that on my car for sure.
So there wasn't any rheumatologist in Santa Fe or something like that, so they sent me to Albuquerque. So I would have to go to Albuquerque and see this guy every week, and he was trying to
weed out what it was.
Every week.
Yeah, for a week, for a long time. Yeah, I would go see him, and they were like, "Why? Like, it's your flat feet and this and that." And then they were like, "Well, no, it's not." And then so they'd put me on different medications. Like, "Well, let's try this medication, see how that works." So I'd try that, and then be like, "All right, let's try this and try that."
God, I hate that.
And so, anyways, in the end, he ended up diagnosing me with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis when I was 15. But I didn't believe him when he told me that, because to me it felt like he was just kind of like guessing. It was like a guessing game, right? Like he had no idea what it was.
That's exactly how I felt when they were like, "Oh, you got depression, you got fucking, you're schizotypical." They told me all that kind of stuff, and they did the same thing. They go, "Here's some medicine for this. Now mark your feelings, and find out how you felt, and it'll take a month for it to kick in." So kind of gate. I'm like, I can't fucking. What are you talking about? Like, I don't know.
It's just like
and then they go, "Okay, you take this other one then," and I'm like, fuck, like, and there's it's guesswork, psychology or psychiatry is anyway, and then a lot of it's the same shit you're saying.
It's the same thing, yeah. And so then in the end he was like, "We're going to put you on methotrexate, which is like a really heavy drug for arthritis or anything like that, and it's a pretty common thing for a lot of people, I guess." But then he's like, do you drink alcohol? And I was like, "Well, no." I'm like, but I had just started drinking with my buddies. Like I was 15 years old, 9th grade. Like I was like, "You're telling me I'm never going to be able to drink?" He's like, "No, you're going to take this medication for the rest of your life, and you can never drink alcohol because it's going to fuck up your liver."
How crazy.
And I'm just like, not that I wanted to drink, but I was like,
so it's a pill. It's a pill
telling
form?
me, yeah. You're telling me I can never drink again or whatever. And he's just like, "Nope." And he's like, "And I'd also like you to start thinking about a job where you don't have to be on your feet, where you can just have a desk job, or you start thinking about ways where you don't have to have so much impact on your feet." I'm 15 years old, and he's telling me all this shit, and I'm just like, holy fuck, like I'm really fucked up. Like like he's telling me I'm always gonna have this pain and that I'm never gonna get better.
This is the rheumatoid. This is the genius.
Yeah, this is the guy. Yeah,
he diagnoses the undiagnosable and tells them they're crippled forever.
And so he's like, "Have you?" And so they go see him. And he's like, "Have you been taking your medicine?" I'm like, "No." And he's just like, "Well, are you going to?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And so I ended up not.
Now, are there deficits to this medicine? Like, you're gonna take it the rest of your life. It's a hepatotoxic medicine, is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And so it's gonna affect your liver anyway. Eventually.
Yeah.
I mean, alcohol is just gonna hasten it. Like when they say don't drink on this, that's not that it's safe without alcohol. It's just that hastens the problem.
Totally. Yeah, and. Yeah, it was like that. It was. He said they would have to monitor me for the rest of my life too. Like I'd have to get blood work just to make sure that my liver wasn't getting fucked up like forever.
You'll need a transplant at 38.
And so I was like, I'm not gonna do it. So what I ended up doing instead, which probably wasn't any better, but I ended up taking Advil for about 8 or 9 years. I would take 12 Advils a day, which was kind of like 4 in the morning.
You ever get an ulcer?
No, I never did. It was weird. I know a lot of people who have had like horrible experiences with Advil, but maybe I was just a little better about it. Like I would make sure that I would eat and all that, because I knew that it was going to fuck me up. And
wow.
So most recently, and I think you remember this, maybe like almost 2 years ago, my foot pain started coming back really bad to the point where the Advil wasn't working anymore. So I was like, fuck. And then I started looking into health insurance and all this, and you helped me with all that.
And then you tried weed and CBD.
Yeah, I tried CBD, because a lot of people were like, "Man, try CBD, it's like this and that." And I tried it, and it was... No, it was awesome in other ways. I was just like chill and relax, and it would help me like with stress and stuff. But as far as pain went, like it just like, it's just a weird pain. So I'm like, okay, I got to go see a rheumatologist again. And again, there was only one in the whole state, and she's in Santa Fe now. So I go see her.
Different person, though.
Different doctor.
Thank goodness.
And so she's like, "I need all your history." So I give her all my history. I give her everything. And she's just like, "This is really weird. It's a really weird case." She's like, "Here's what I think it is." She's like, "I think you have something called ankylosing spondylitis." She's like, "And what's weird is," she's like, "most people never get pain in their foot, but," she's like, "I've heard," and actually she's just like, "I just heard this at a recent conference that people were experiencing foot pain from this, and this is usually something that affects your back." And she's like, "I want you to try the medicine that we give these people and see if it helps you." She's like, "I'll give you a sample. I have it right here in the office, and if it works, I will get you on a prescription forever or whatever." And so I try it, and it's like a fucking miracle drug. Like, usually it used to take me, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour to get going in the mornings, just like get out of bed, put weight on my feet,
like do like circles with my feet, like trying to like get them going, get blood flow, all of it, like limp to the bathroom, you know.
And this is from when you're a teenager on?
Yeah, 15, 10 years or whatever like that. Every morning, you know, and then I take this stuff, and then like 2 days later, I'm just like, I stand up out of bed, and I was just like, holy shit, my feet don't hurt. You know, and so I go and see her, and I'm like, it works. It was awesome. And she's just like, yeah. So she's like, I really think that you have ankylosing spondylitis. But she's like, even if you don't, she's like, if this makes you feel better, she's like, you should take this. And again, it's like a really terrible drug. You know, it's got terrible side effects. She's like, well, here's the number one side effect. She's like, cancer. And I'm like, holy fuck.
You're like, that's a big one.
Yeah, and so it's called Enbrel, and what you're doing is you're injecting live cells into your body. Yeah, you're injecting live cells into your body. And Carlos Condit was telling us that they take them out of rats or something like that in China. So it's fucking crazy.
Right.
Yeah, so it's the same thing.
Chinese guinea pig or something like that, right?
Yeah. So
and these are pills also.
No, I think it's just an injection.
Okay.
So yeah, I take an injection every month, and actually I'm supposed to take it.
Which is better than for your liver anyway, because it bypasses that at least. I mean, it's not going to fuck up your stomach and your liver.
Yeah, and so I'm supposed to take it every week, but for me, I just do it once a month because I feel like that's as soon as it
come back towards the end of the month?
It does. Yeah. So as soon as I start to get pain, I give myself an injection, and I feel great again. You know, but what's crazy is that when I started, because I used to be a drummer and I drummed for a long time, and then I started drumming again like maybe a year ago, just kind of a little bit, and my back started hurting, and I didn't think about it, and then so I told my doctor, I'm like, my back feels weird when I drum now, like it's like I have to like have a backrest and stuff, and she's just like, yeah, she's like, it's arthritis, you have arthritis in your back. And I'm like, but how do you know that you haven't even done an X-ray or an MRI? And she's just like, no, it's one of the symptoms of what you have, ankylosing spondylitis. And I'm like, fuck.
And then you got to start asking yourself, is it one of the symptoms from that, or is it one of the symptoms from the Enbrel?
Yeah, that's exactly what I've been thinking. I'm like, is it the Enbrel? Like, I'm like, fuck, and so.
No, everybody that takes Enbrel gets this.
Yeah, and I'm so like you, I'm so untrusting of the pharmaceutical companies and stuff that I'm just like, is it me or is it the shit that I'm taking, you know? And so I've really, now that my back is getting worse, I've been thinking like, man, like, am I really going to start taking more injections per month, or should I start looking at my diet better? Should I start looking at like everything that I consume, like tightening it up? I don't feel like I have a terrible diet, but I can tighten it up. You know what I mean? Like and maybe that means giving up corn chips or something like that. Like, I don't know, maybe that's causing, you know, something. And so I really got to start thinking about that. But here's I think the craziest thing. Like, I feel like that first doctor misdiagnosed me in several ways, not only by telling me that I had juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, but by also telling me to look for a sedentary lifestyle. You know, and like, had I listened to him, I don't know where I would be today. Do you know what I mean? Like, how crazy is that? Because now they're like, you have this other thing.
Right.
And so like that was 10 years ago.
You have this other thing. And also you're a high level black belt
and I'm
in this highly combative sport.
Yeah. And so it was crazy, man. And I think jiu-jitsu was the perfect sport for me because, you get to be on the ground. You don't have to always bear weight on your feet. And so I think, like you said, you start thinking like, man, I might not ever be able to move again. And how am I going to break a sweat? And how am I going to do this or whatever? Right. And I think I found jiu-jitsu and I was like, man, this is something that I could do. Like I can, you know, I can sit down, I can pull guard. I could, you know, I'm not going to run a marathon. I'm not going to be boxing or kickboxing. Yeah. And then what's crazy is that I did all that stuff anyways, you know, even with the pain that I had and stuff. And even to this day, I, you know, like I said, it comes back, but then I take an injection, it goes away for a little bit, and then, you know, and I've just learned to live with it.
God, I can't wait till they get a better way.
Yeah.
Stem cells or something. Yeah. What about something like that? Would that help?
I don't know.
I'm thinking of going to, I'm going to go and see the dude in Vegas and get stem cells in my shoulders and I think in my hips too.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard a guy, I don't know if it was Dwayne, might be Dwayne Ludwig. He got him preventatively. He's like, I'm going to get all my joints hit with them. Fuck it.
That's crazy.
And I feel like that too. I'm like, I ache all the time, but I know why. Like every ache's got somebody's name on it. You know what I mean? And But fuck, man.
Well, I think Maverick's like that too in ways. Like he'll preventatively do stuff. I think.
Yeah.
You know, I've had conversations with him and Dr. Maverick Loeb.
But he just does the PRP and then he does Prolo.
Yeah, and so he does it on himself.
Gang of Prolo in me.
Yeah,
but that just encourages scar tissue, whereas these stem cells actually regrow tendons and ligaments.
Interesting.
Because they're the beginning cells. Yeah. They're the beginning cells of life, and so they get them from embryos or placentas or whatever. And what it's the crazy thing is, like, whatever you put a cell like that towards, like you put it near the bone that's hurt, it'll become the bone. Yeah. You put it near the skin, like it becomes whatever is around it.
Yeah.
Much like our personalities and the people, like it goes back again. It keeps coming up what Keith is always saying about you're the sum of the 5 people that you're around the most.
That's so true, man. And I think, you know, a lot of everything that I've done, I have to attribute towards my friendship and relationship with you. You know, you're always like reminding me, like, I'd be like, well, I fucked up my knee or something. And you're like, okay, have you gone to see Maverick Loeb? Have you gone to the doctor? Have you gone this? Have you know, this and that? And you're always encouraging me to be proactive. And I think it's important because it's so easy when we're injured to just sit back and say, I'm injured and be like, I'm fucked. You know, it's easy to just be like, I'm fucked. I give up. It's easy to give up.
You know what the thing is, bro, is that, and it's a trip, and it seems like the opposite, the antithesis of what like a serene spiritual life should be. But in order to have a serene and spiritual life, you need to be fucking aggressive and savage towards life. And if you don't believe it, turn on the Discovery Channel and check out how animals treat each other, because it's a horror movie. You know what I mean? It's rape and murder and you know, the killing of your kids. It's like all of that. And like I think our life is like that, and we're like, I'd like to just sit back and let nature take it. Everybody says that, oh, let's let nature take its course, like whatever's gonna. Well, that then result in nature taking its course is death. Right. Like that's what happens. Like, and so the thing is like I just figured I could get like either really aggressive about my recoveries, or I'm gonna accept death. Yeah. Like I'm gonna accept like, life is gonna happen to me instead of me happening to life. And like the most serene that I am is like if I feel like I've done the work to get there, I've got to earn it. You know. Yeah. There's that thing of just people like, oh, just take it easy and let. And there's a time and a place for whatever, but like there's a time to get aggressively proactive towards your health, and I mean your life should be that, right? Like we should all be living that life. Totally. And we should all, you know, be so lucky to have jiu-jitsu or something like that you're like movement, sweat, whatever. To have something like that to where, where you value it to the point where you will be aggressive to fight for that thing. Like I'll aggressively fight to have that feeling of health. Like,
well, and we know like nothing gives us the high like jiu-jitsu does, you know, or fighting. I mean, even you got to experience fighting at the highest levels. I mean, there's nothing that gives you that, you know. It's kind of weird. And I understand a lot of fighters when they're like, I'm just a fighter, like I don't know how to do anything else. It's like I feel like normal life is no longer acceptable once you've experienced that, you know.
And once I move away from fighting too, it's like once you become, I believe this, like once you become an expert at anything, you have an idea of excellence in all things, and so it raises the elevation of your whole life. And so once you get really good at something, I think that your expectations become higher, and so then your vibration resonates at a higher level for all the things around you. And it doesn't matter what that thing is, man. Totally. You know what I mean? You get excellent at glass blowing or some kind of artistic endeavor or screenplays or anything. Yeah. It all translates into the this one thing of life. You know, and then you get better at all those things, and like that whole thing. Like Keith used to say stuff like that, like, oh, "I'm just a fighter," this or that, and you think about how I mean, there's a humility that comes with fighting too, I think, and so there's like like that humbleness that comes out, like, oh, I'm only doing this. Or Mr. Winklejohn would always say, holding mitts, well, Mr. Fletcher, I don't really know anything, but why don't you try this or something? It's like a multiple world-time kickboxer that trains the best guys in the world. It's like, I don't really know. What does a guy like me know? And he'd be really serious. I'm like, oh, you know everything, basically, is what I'm thinking, you know? And he does, you know? And it's like, don't belittle your experience, because it's huge, you know? Like, you know, like so much, and you look at, like, I mean, people that try know so much, and the people that have shrunk from life, they don't know as much. It's just clear. It's that thing, fortune favors the brave. You know, what that means to me is like good fortune favors those that are really trying and throwing it on the line and know what that feels like, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
It's huge, man. So what do you think? Are you hopeful of other drugs? Do you know stuff coming up on the market, or like I know, like my friend Tim Frankie, who's like trying to get off antidepressants. I think he's on his second day now without, but he would go into these huge black holes, you know. I'm gonna text him after this. But he's in like groups online and like forums and stuff, and there's people that also suffer from this because there's a huge underground thing. His psychiatrist, one of his psychiatrists, I don't know if he quit practicing. Maybe he got ostracized from one of the psychiatric communities he was in because of because Tim enlightened him so much about the ill effects of psychiatric drugs. Like, and there's probably a time and a place or whatever, but we're so over fucking prescribed. Oh yeah, and it's for sure changed brain chemistry for the worse.
Totally.
But I'm wondering if are there groups like that in
There are, because I remember looking on the internet and being like, well, who else feels like me or whatever? Yeah, like that. You Google stuff and Google symptoms, and that's a scary thing too, because I mean, WebMD will fuck you up.
You come up with AIDS every time.
Yeah,
you'll have. How did I end up with AIDS?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, I remember reading some forums and people would be like, yeah, you know, I have this, or the doctor diagnosed me with this, and I just went to Mexico and I got this fucking painkiller. It's really potent. 3 painkillers in one, and I just pop one every month and I'm good.
3 painkillers.
Yeah, it's it's not even legal here, right? So and I remember thinking, man, is that really what I need? Should I have my aunt go and grab me some?
I'll tell you what, dude. Any painkiller that's 3 painkillers in one, nobody's taking one once a month.
Yeah.
They get used to that a little bit. They're going to take it tomorrow and the next day and then twice today and then 3, like.
And that's what was scary, you know. And I remember my aunt went to Mexico and she brought me some stuff, and she said that her grandma.
Allegedly, she did.
Her grandma, or her was it her grandma? Maybe it was her mom. I can't remember. Had been like in a chair for months. She's like 88 or something, and she hadn't been able to walk. And they gave her this painkiller, the one I'm telling you about, and she stood up for the first time in like several years or something. She was able to walk, her arthritis or whatever, like she was able to get up and walk. And so she was like, so I sent you a 12-pack or whatever so you can try it out. And I just remember looking at it and I was just
like, you crushed them up and snorted them.
No, I was like, this could be the beginning of something bad, you know? Like I've seen it, you know, I've seen it happen to people I know and relatives and stuff, and I was just like, I'm just going to stick to Advil.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For now. Maybe if someday it gets really, really bad, maybe I'll do it. But it never got that bad, you know? Like, I would rather limp, you know?
Here's the deal, too, is like grandma, like, God bless you, and if you're at the end of the rope and that, like, you're gonna cash out anyway in a few years. So, you know, if your liver goes bad in 20 years and you're only going to live 7, who gives a shit? It doesn't matter. Yeah. Really, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know, for us or for anybody, really, I go, okay, a painkiller, just the idea of a painkiller, it's like, so that's a suppression, or it's not even really a suppression of pain. All it's doing is heightening endorphins, so I get so high that I forget the discomfort, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that doesn't get me towards health more. And so these discussions, and it's cool, I think, with what we're doing now in America. We're demanding health. We're not happy with being fucking sedated.
With a Band-Aid. Yeah. It's like, no, we want to fix it.
No, I have a torn artery. I don't need a Band-Aid over it. Like, fucking, I need sutures. How do we do that?
Yeah. And it's cool, man. You do, like, my main doctor, he doesn't prescribe any painkillers. Like, he's a doctor. It's like, on his website, it's like, basically it says, don't come to me if you're looking for painkillers. I don't prescribe that.
Yeah, dude. Well, when I was in rehab, I knew so many guys that was part of their hustle. I always met somebody like that. Like, that was their hustle, just going to doctors. They're like, any doctor will give you whatever you want. That's true. If you want to get high, you can go to the doctor. You know, you can circumvent all that stuff about the legality and this and that, and you can get high legally for as long as you want off the best drugs available.
Totally. But I just thought it was cool. I thought it was cool that there's doctors out there that are like, in a way, taking a stand, you know, that are like,
isn't that funny when it's a strange thing when your doctor has ethics?
Exactly.
Oh, I love this. It's a breath of fresh air. A doctor with ethics. Like, oh.
But again, I don't blame them because that is part of their schooling now. You know, there's so much money.
Right?
Yes, there's so much money that's getting thrown into med school or whatever by the pharmaceutical companies. You know, like they're pretty much brought up, you know, or taught, you know, to trust in these pharmaceutical companies from medical school.
Yep.
And so I don't blame them, you know. I'm like, that doctor obviously did his own research or, you know, whatever, like didn't believe what he was being told or I don't know. But it's cool. It's cool to see that there's actually doctors like that now. Because like you said, it's a strange thing that doctors have ethics.
Right.
You know? Yeah, it's weird.
It'd be
it's so crazy.
Running into a lawyer that is, you know, not going to be or a politician. Here's a straight-laced politician that'll tell you the truth. Really? Because does that even exist?
Yeah, that's another quote by some founding father. It was like, they don't exist, you know? Like good men in politics or something like that.
It's
don't
weird,
exist.
dude. But and then also where it drives people like Scotty and Ed. Starting that hospital in Mexico.
Dude,
you know?
So cool.
And then Scotty's old lady that is the lawyer. Like she's a fucking bona fide lawyer.
Yep.
And then she's gone out and she makes like Paleo Angel is her deal where she just makes food now that's like here's healthy fucking thought-based food that's gonna make you eat your way back into health as opposed to having to go and take pills and shit.
Yeah. She was telling me, she's like, my family thinks I'm crazy, but at the same time they're supporting or supportive of whatever I do.
Why? Because she left her law practice?
Yeah. Like you're gonna start a paleo snack company, like, but you're not gonna take this for sure job that's gonna pay you super fucking awesome and shit.
I was like, this is awesome. When I met her at the CrossFit Games, I was like, God, these are awesome. And she had me taste one or whatever, and she goes, yeah, try it, whatever. And then I was like, how does she have her shit together so much? I'm like, this is great packaging, this and that. I'm like, this will be great. Like, I'll support you doing whatever.
Yeah.
She's dope, man.
Super
And then
cool,
I found out later, Sky's like, no, she's a lawyer. I said, no, she's in law school. No, she's a lawyer, like, past the bar lawyer. I was like, God damn.
Crazy.
So impressive, man.
It's cool, man.
Amy, what's her last name? Is it Amy Ma?
Amy Ma, yeah, M-A, yeah, Amy.
Wicked.
Yeah,
at Paleo Angel on Instagram, I think is what it is.
Yep, at Paleo Angel on Instagram for sure. And it's crazy, man. Like, it's crazy. Like our conversation with Carlos Condit, just that short little thing where he's telling us what he knew about, you know, all these inflammatory diseases and stuff and all that. And it's for me, it's just crazy to see how many people have this now. You know, whereas before I felt like I was super special.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't even tell people because I was like, they'll never understand. It's such a rare thing that
it's weird. I was just sitting here thinking, because I was thinking about kickboxing rounds with you and shit. And I was like, remember like you and Josh going or whoever. And I'm like, well, you know, like Ruben would get it. And then I'm thinking about that when you're sitting here telling me all this. And I'm like, that was before I knew you had flat feet. Like I didn't know for years, really, that there was anything amiss. All I knew is that you were a highly talented, deadly jiu-jitsu practitioner.
Yeah.
Like from the start, basically. And I was like, it's a trip.
Well, I think what happens is, you know, like people see you limp, right? Like my family members, like, what's wrong with you? And then, well, I try to explain it to them. Well, it's this and that. And then every time I have to explain it, it gets shorter and shorter and shorter.
Like, it just hurts.
It got so short to the point where I was like, I don't even want to talk about it anymore. Like it doesn't even matter.
You get bored with your own story.
I got bored of it, you know. So then it just got so short that people would be like, well, why do you limp or whatever? And I just have flat feet, you know. It's kind of fucking me up. Oh, crazy. And then they look at my feet and be like, oh yeah, they're really fucked up. And I'm like, yeah. And then that was it. That's all I would ever tell people. And it was kind of like, and also it was because I didn't believe it. And I think that was a good thing for me, you know. That
you didn't believe that you were as ill as they said you were.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to. It was like I was in denial.
There's something powerful about that, dude.
Yeah.
I would say that about like TBI and stuff like that. And I was like, and I'd just get sick of like, oh, your memory. And I was like, fuck that. I'm not going to even say anything. Or like with my shoulders or whatever, people are like, oh, I'm like, there's a couple dings, you know, life's been exciting or whatever. Like, I just don't want to, like, it's such a list. I'm like, and what does it do telling anybody? It doesn't help in the least, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
The only way it helps is if somebody else is afflicted and they go, dude, I have this thing. And I go, oh, me too. And here's how I deal with it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
then I'm helpful. Then I feel good about it. But like, other than that, I'm like, yeah, man, it's fucking life, you know, and everybody's got their lumps. Let's go. Let's dig in some more.
Yeah. I mean, just even like recently, just a couple of days ago, one of my students was like, the doctor told me that, that I should give up on jiu-jitsu and focus on my recovery and my family.
They all say that, right?
And,
every fucking doctor out there.
Yeah. And he's just like, so
you should just stop moving so much.
I'm thinking, what? Yeah. So he's like, I'm thinking about quitting jiu-jitsu. And I'm just like, okay. I'm like, well, here's the thing. I'm like, I want you to do whatever is best for you in your recovery and your family. I'm like, I want you to do that first and foremost. I'm like, but here's the thing. I'm like, you should do whatever you want to do, you know. And then I wrote him this whole thing because it was over Facebook, and so I inboxed him and I just wrote him like these super long paragraphs, which basically I told him my story, right? Like, here's what the doctor told me a long time ago, and had I listened to him, I wouldn't be where I am today, you know. I wouldn't have a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Right. I wouldn't be a stuntman. I wouldn't be, you know, all these cool things that I get to be today. Had I listened to him, I don't know, maybe I'd be working for the state right now doing some fucking, who knows, some computer work, some IT work, something like some not ideal life for me anyways. Not that it's not a good job, but I look at that now and I'm just like, man, I get to travel, like I get to do this, I get to hang out with people like you, me, you know, cool, like man. This, like I love my life, man. Like I tell people that all the time. I'm just like, I'm super, super lucky, you know, and I wouldn't have this today had I listened to the doctor that I felt misdiagnosed me, you know. And so I told my student this and all that, and he was just like, okay, I'll see you in class tomorrow or whatever. And I'm just like, it's cool. And like you said, it's powerful, you know. That's the only time that conversation is powerful, you know. I never want people to feel sorry for me, you know. So I don't tell the story, you know, but it's when something like that comes up.
I'll tell you this, is after you've written it out one time, you might as well fucking have it in a blog and archive that bitch so you can just copy and paste it. Because believe me, you're going to need to tell other people that. Yeah. And and that's the thing about podcasts or whatever. Like, there's people that need to know that you don't even know, you know? That's what I tell anybody when they're like, dude, I just feel like fucking quitting or what. Like, I don't think I'm going to do this thing anymore because I don't think that it matters or whatever. And I'm like, you know, I felt like that. Yeah. And a guy told me one time, he goes, you know, you just being here every Wednesday night and sitting in the corner of the room and not saying nothing in the back. He's like, you're the only one I relate to here. I'm like, I don't ever say anything. And he's like, you're there every day, dude. It's like you're a pillar in there. Like, I can count on that I'm going to see Tait. And I'm like, fuck. Like, you never know where you matter to somebody. And I'm like, I just never knew that I mattered. Yeah. And like that, dude, you know what I mean? And it's like when that becomes present to you the first time, you're like, it's a big deal, and you don't know who's watching you. Yeah. There's people counting on you that you don't even fucking know. Yeah. It's just important to show up and to keep trying and and to be relentless in going, maybe that's not true. Yeah. You know, somebody tells me to stop and it's a positive thing that I'm doing, I'm like, maybe there's another conversation to be had, you know, and being open to all those conversations. Maybe it is to stop. I don't know.
Totally. Yeah. Like, my parents have always been super supportive of what I do, but, you know, sometimes you sprain your ankle, somebody figure 4-foot locks you or heel hooks you or something, and then you got, like, for me, an extra limp or a more so of a limp. And my mom's just like, you need to quit doing jiu-jitsu. Like, why are you're already fucked up. Like, why are you trying to fuck yourself up more? Like, she wouldn't say that in those words, obviously, but that's what she was trying to say, pretty much. And, but she didn't understand.
She'd start with hito.
I was like, Mom,
hito.
Go ahead. Try it. I would love to hear. It's like, tus amigos son cabrones.
Savage.
Yeah, exactly. But she didn't understand, and like you said, it's such a positive thing, man. And outside of like the physicality, like, it was just so good for my mind. You know, like to stay sane.
That's the freedom I found.
Yeah.
What's in the mind is like, it's not a physical thing. It's like a mental thing for me where I got freedom. And that's the important part.
And it's still that important to me right now. Like, if I don't have jiu-jitsu, if I go like just even now, like even 2 or 3 days without jiu-jitsu, like, I feel weird.
Like I can't wait to get back on the mats, you know? And it's weird, man. It's become such a part of my life and like my physiology, like whatever, I don't know, you know, it's just like I need it just like anything else. And so I'm gonna do it forever.
It's also, I think,
as long as I can.
is like anybody that played it safe or took the advice of people, they never did anything.
Yeah.
Like you never see any of those people. I was thinking, I don't know when it came up. Maybe I was talking to you. There's somewhere, but we're talking about like all the places people stop, and like, dude, that's impossible. I mean, like Apple would have never been made. You know what I mean? Like things like that. Like there would be no cloud technology. There would be like none of that kind of stuff. And
SpaceX.
And there'd be no Beethoven. Here's a kid that he was deaf at like 7 or 9 years old, something like that, I think is the story.
Yeah.
And created some of the most beautiful symphonies that are for the ears, for everybody.
So crazy.
That he's never fucking heard.
Yeah.
And how many people told him he's crazy? Dude, you can't write music. How can he? And they must have laughed behind his back. Dude, what does he know about music? He can't even hear.
Yeah.
It's crazy, dude. It's crazy. Saying no sometimes to established society and being a heretic in the eyes of all your fellows is sometimes the very best fucking thing.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%, man.
Especially if your base is Christian, right-wing, crazy people.
So true.
So who are you voting for in this election?
Man, it's so crazy. I don't even know. To be honest, I don't really even pay attention to that stuff, man. Like I don't believe it. It was like you were saying the other day. Like
I feel bad because I haven't.
Can you believe on the internet?
Right.
Know? And it's like that. I mean, that's where I get my news. Well, we were talking about
ISIS.
Right? Yeah. And like, what do you believe? You know, and so. That's really where I get a lot of my information from, you know, and that's not even to say like all my information comes from Facebook, but you know, like if you write something political or whatever, like I trust what you're saying more so than if I watch CNN or Fox or whatever, you know, or well, if Nate posts something or whatever, like I trust his opinion more than I would some lady on Fox
that guy,
or something.
He thinks it through.
Yeah, he exactly. He really does his research. And
that's what we're talking about. Like the other day when you're saying, what was it? There was a professor and a student, or is that what it was?
It was a professor and a Muslim student.
So the professor was a Jewish guy or just a who knows where he was from?
Yeah, I don't think he was just a
He's just a professor.
Yeah.
And then he was asking her. He asked her.
She stood up because it was like, all right, everyone can ask questions now, and so she stood up, and she started talking about like how I think the school was always attacking Muslim students and this and that, and he was just like, yeah, you know, I kind of get this a lot, like wherever
Muslim
I go
students
speak,
or Muslim,
like I guess
like the Islam had a bad name or bad rap or
something like that, you know, but. I'd have to watch the video again, but it had to do with ISIS and all that and supporting ISIS. And so he was like, all right. He's like, you know, usually where I go speak at schools, like there's always somebody like you that stands up and you guys say the same things. He's like, so my first question to you is, do you support ISIS? And she's just like, I'm not going to answer that. She's like, because to answer that, like I'm going to get put in jail or whatever it is, you know, like I'm not going to say yes or no. And he's just like, well, then just say no. Like either you are or you're not. Right. You know what I mean? Like, because right now it sounds like you are. Like if you're not willing to say no. And she was like, you know, the leader, I can't remember who he was referring to, and I hate that I don't know this stuff, but he was like, he said that he would like all the Jews to stay in Israel so that he wouldn't have to hunt them down. That's what he wishes could happen.
Crazy that he wants an eradication of people. Like,
yeah, wow. So he wouldn't have to go out and look for them all over the place or whatever.
This goes back to a quote I put on the internet a while ago, where it goes, "Hey haters," something like this. Do you realize that if I weren't here, your life would still suck? Your life, it's about you, dummy.
Yeah.
That's so crazy that somebody thinks a global extermination would help him. What a psychopath. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no. And so he's like, so for him or against him? He asks her in the
He's
end.
like, are you for the leader or are you against the leader?
Yeah. And she says for him. And then he's like, okay, I rest my case. And then she starts trying to like go on, and he's like,
we said it's time for questions. You don't get to make a speech.
Right.
He's like, we already know where you stand, so just please have a seat. Or
right.
Whatever. He was like super polite. But then I told you this story, and you were just like, maybe that's what they want us to think or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Well, that's what I think is like with the agent provocateurs, like when you see like the Wall Street things and like Operation Wall Street or Occupy Wall Street or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you know, where it's like then guys that wanted to shut down those peaceful protests would go and they would pretend they were part of the protesters and they would throw rocks at the cops, so then the cops would come in and they would wash everybody out and put everybody in jail. And then like this, so on the internet, I'm like, there's so many beautiful videos that could get made by anybody. I mean, you're a great filmmaker.
Totally.
You could make that video and have it be compelling and go, oh my God, yes, this really is about divisions and about us against Islam. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
There's a lot of beautiful people that are Muslims and that have a fucking great idea about a great worldview of peace. Like, there's all of that too. And so, like, is this somebody just trying, is this like some kind of CIA diversion bullshit operative to make me against somebody else? It's like, then that's the thing I think about. I go, anybody that wants to make me against anybody else, I'm super skeptical of you.
Yeah.
You want to make me against something? Ooh, why is that? Like, what's wrong with you? There's something wrong with, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, it's a scary
so I don't know what
and
to
it's
believe.
really an old
I
trick
really
if you
don't.
think about it. Like,
and then we're talking about the black web and all that.
The dark web, the deep web and all that. Yeah, it's crazy. But like I was going to say, it's really an old trick if you think about it. Like a magician on stage calls up one of the people from the audience. Right.
Same
and then
shit,
we're like,
right?
oh, yeah. And that's kind of like what's happening right now,
shit.
you know?
It is the same shit.
It is the same thing, yeah. And so, like you said, like these people pretending to be protesters. And then there's so many videos that emerge online of like somebody caught, you know, there was like some shit go down and all of a sudden the protester has a fucking gun and he's flashing his badge at people and being like, you know, like stop throwing rocks or stop whatever, stop fighting and shit.
You're like, look at this guy.
And it's like, wait
then
a
all of
second, you were just
undercover
protesting.
cop shot 4 people. You're like, how did he get there? What was that even about? Like, he made all the problem happen. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, and then the whole Trump paying for supporters, right? Or like he got busted paying for people to be at his rallies or something like that. Like, so crazy, man. But it's not far fetched. I mean, we know celebrities have been doing that, or not like big celebrities, but celebrities looking to make a bigger name for themselves. There's companies in LA where you can hire groups of people to wait for you. Yeah, like you, like you're like, I'm flying in today in LA or whatever.
Meet me at the airport,
and they're like, well, how many people do you want? You know, because 10's going to cost you this much, or 20 or whatever. Like a bigger crowd's going to cost you more.
Make a splash.
Yeah, that's so
crazy.
Who
is this guy?
Yeah,
I get that on Periscope. I don't know how people find you on Periscope, but I guess maybe people retweet that you're on Periscope, and so
so
then I'll get guys and they'll be like, "Are you famous or something?" And I'm like, "No, bitch. If I were famous, you wouldn't be asking if I were famous. Famous people, you know who they are."
Yeah. No, I think there's like a map. There's a map. I know Nate was showing me one time. There's a map that people can be like, okay, and it lights up like in LA. Like, oh, there's lighting up in LA, and you zoom in, and then you can like touch people or something like that and listen and just see what they're doing, you know, watch them.
Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Yeah.
Periscoping.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that whole thing about being famous. I was hanging out with this. We were all there's a bunch of us together. With this porn star, and she was getting a text from this dude that was like a famous rock star dude, and that hadn't had an album out in a long time. And he's like, dude, let's meet me over at the Standard. We'll come out of the elevators together, and I've already called Us Weekly and all these I was like, wow, dude, that is like, what a pussy that he wants. It's weird. I was like, this fame is worse than drug addiction in Hollywood. It's a trip.
Yeah, dude, it's so weird.
It's a weird thing people crave.
You can pay for anything nowadays.
I didn't know. That's so funny that they monetize it. Pay for how many people you want to come.
Yeah. Crowd of 50 is going to cost you this or whatever.
That's crazy.
And then they have like...
But I'm totally doing it.
And then you can like upgrade so they can have signs with your name on it and shit like that.
That's what I want. I want
you can customize it.
I want to be like a limo driver, like coming in with signs, except that I want big ones and little kids like with kazoos and shit. I want all that stuff.
What about titties? Like some girl flash your titties or sign
That'd be good.
her
I bet
titties
that's
or
extra.
something. Yeah, but that's going to cost you.
Sign my titties. And then you'd probably have to take the indecent exposure charge or whatever. if it came to that. Maybe that's just risk assumption that the company takes on. I don't know. Maybe we should start one of these companies.
Yeah.
We could do that right here, and you could be Santa Famous.
Yeah, I mean,
we could call it Santa Famous.
It's kind of like extra work if you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, we just get all that. We already know all the extras for films. This is perfect. I gotta be good.
Might even actually be. Never mind. I'm not gonna say it.
Anyway,
extra is a great job.
It's so hard to not go into like naming names, isn't it? Sometimes when you're on a podcast.
100%. I've gotten better at it though. I remember the first time I said some things, but no, not too bad. But still,
you can always go back and review on Pirate Life Radio.
Yeah, don't do that.
All right, man. Well, what you got? Sponsors you want to talk about?
Yeah, totally. Well, Caveman Coffee Co.
Caveman Coffee Co. What's Caveman Coffee?
Caveman Coffee is like a super high grade coffee, single estate, which is a step up over single origin coffee. Most coffees are just single origin, but
so it's all from the same farm somewhere.
Yep.
Crazy.
Same estate, same farm, one family, and then one family roasts it and packages it. So that's pretty unique, man. I don't think I haven't heard of any other coffee company.
Straight out of Colombia.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really special. I mean, I don't drink anything else. And then
really, unless I have to, because then I will.
And it's owned by awesome people. You, Lacey, and Keith. Fuck, man, I couldn't ask for better people to work for too. You know, it's been cool, dude. It's been really cool.
Awesome new hats on the site.
Yep, we got these new Pirate Life hats. Pretty fucking badass. I love this, like the gray, man. It's really fucking cool.
It looks good, doesn't it?
And then the gold C's on the back. That's really dope. And then Paleo Angel, you know, we were just talking about Amy and her products. Right now, she's only got one product, Power Balls, and they're like healthy.
You can eat them like candy.
Yeah, the vanilla, the Paleo Power Balls is just like it's like you're eating dessert. I mean, really, honestly, it tastes like you're eating vanilla cake or something. Like it's really crazy. And then OTM, you know,
on the mat.
Yeah, they hooked me up with all my gear. Actually, I'm about to get a new uniform now because, you know, my last one was based on my brown belt. So then I got a message that was like, man. Hey, now that you're a black belt, do you need a black belt uniform? And I'm just like, man, you guys are so cool. You know, and so I need an upgrade, apparently. I need a black belt uniform now.
I'm trying to find, I want to get the name of Ed and Scotty's hospital down in Mexico.
Chispa
or Chipsa? Chipsa.
Yeah.
Chipsahospital.org is what it is. And chipsahospital.org is like it's remediation of drugs and stuff through ibogaine therapy, and they do a lot of cancer
treatments,
help too.
Alternative,
and you can look up for a lot of alternative treatments. They're in Tijuana. Chipsahospital.org.
And it's like a resort too, right? Like not a resort, but I mean like they're at
it's like a retreat. You can get away and you can go and you can do cleanses and all that kind of stuff.
Sounds fucking awesome.
I really want to go, man. I want to go just because I'm like, oh, if you're fucking over 40, you should get your shit together and go down and clean yourself out and just get all redone and they do like liver cleansing and all that kind of stuff.
I'll go with you, man.
I'm really into it, man. And those guys, they do so much good work, I think, for the community. And they're just good folks. Well, I want to thank Nuevo Cerveza, a microbrew, nuevocerveza.com. Great clothing, gear, and beer will be available, I think, nationwide in May. Right now, just in the Southwest region. Concrete Cowboy in Dallas, Concrete Cowboy Austin, Concrete Cowboy Houston, and Clutch Dallas are all fantastic nighttime establishments if you want to go get your freak on and fucking party and get nuts and pour champagne on your girlfriend or your mom or whatever you want to do. You can get it done down there. And badass dudes working. Hit me up on Twitter if you go and let me know how you like it. And what else?
You can find more information about our jiu-jitsu program here in Santa Fe at undisputedfitness.com. We're on Instagram too. We have at Undisputed Fitness on Instagram, at Undisputed Fit on Twitter. at 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu Santa Fe on Instagram. And then you can find me at Ruben Rivera Laguna, which Tait can never remember.
You got to put the Laguna on the end.
I don't expect
a lot of times, because I expect
remember.
your real name is Ruben Rivera, so I'd think Laguna would be in the middle, but no, it's at the end.
Well, there's a lot of them, man. I tried, yeah.
Anyway, Ruben Rivera Laguna. And you can find his little ass tagged in my pictures and shit too if you forget. Yeah. But he's the most handsome man in jiu-jitsu. It's just a fact. I'm not happy. But he got those freaky club feet, I guess. True.
You can't have. So you always did tell me that you can't have everything,
pal. Sorry, unless you're Wheezy Wee, and then maybe you can. Anyway,
and you can also find us on hashtag Dong Life.
Hashtag Dong Life is a good one to go to for sure. Want to thank Deuce Jim. Speaking of Dong Life, at Functional Coach, the big homie, and what else is out there that I want to thank?
At Bloody Maria.
At Bloody Maria. You can find them, bloodymaria.com. Great Bloody Berry mix. And oh, let me check one more thing real quick. I want to thank Drake for going 0 to 100 real quick.
At Champagne Poppy.
At Champagne Poppy. What a weird name that is to have for him.
It's weird.
He's a weird guy, I think. I feel like he might be a weird guy. Oh, Nutritionals. I want to thank, that's great fish oil. Like if you're looking for inflammation problems, how to deplete that. If you're looking how to balance your omegas, if you're looking for good energy and a good fuel source, that's good for your eyes, skin, gut, everything. Fish oil is a huge aspect to that. And onutritionals.com. Also, strongerfasterhealthier.com for protein, and onit.com, and hit them up, man. And again, cavemancoffee.com. Bring us home. Bring us into the black. We're really trying to make this company go and ride, and we've done so much. Thank you guys all for your support and your love throughout the Black Friday and Cyber Monday weekends. You know, I know they're kind of weird, crazy, like monetized holidays, but they're really helping us make it work. And thank you guys for supporting good stuff, and buy local, man, and be good to motherfuckers. Hug each other. Peace.